Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyaha Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrabhyaha Vamsharshibhyaha Mahadbhyaha Namo Gurubhyaha. Passage number 9 on the page 5. Tasya va etasya purushasya द्वे एव स्थाने भवतः इदं च परलोकस्थानं च संध्यं तृतीयं स्वप्नस्थानं तस्मिन् संध्यस्थाने तिष्ठन् एते उभे स्थाने पश्यति इदं च परलोकस्थानं च अथ यथाक्रमोऽयं परलोकस्थाने भवति तम् आक्रमम् आक्रम्य उभयान् पाप्मनः आनन्दांसि पश्यति स यत्र प्रस्वपिति अस्य लोकस्य सर्वावतः मात्राम् अपादाय स्वयं विहत्य स्वयं निर्माय स्वेन भासा स्वेन ज्योतिषा प्रस्वपिति अत्रायं पुरुषः स्वयं ज्योतिर्भवति. अत्रायं पुरुषः स्वयं ज्योतिर्भवति. अयं पुरुषः, दिस परमात्मा, दिस self, स्वयं ज्योतिर्भवति. He is self-effulgent, self-shining, self-revealing. Meaning that Atma, the self, is the nature of consciousness, self-revealing, self-shining, does not depend upon anything else to shine, therefore does not depend upon anything else to exist. Because shining and existing go together. I was saying last night, do you see, is there a flower in my hand? You say yes. On what basis do you say yes? Because you see it. When can you see? When it is there. Therefore, we become aware of something if it is there, and then we know that it is there. So awareness and existence, they all go, both of them go together. So, Atma, the self, is of the nature of existence and awareness, which provides existence to everything, intelligence to everything. How do we see Atma everywhere? Because whatever we experience is. And how to say it is? Because we are aware of it. And so what is it that provides a given name and form? The isness and the ability to reveal itself, and that is the Atma. The Atma here provides the name and form, the ability to be, to exist, and to reveal itself. So this is how we see the self all-pervading. Sat and Chit, everything exists, everything reveals itself. Of course, that Sat and Chit is not out there. It looks like the flower, this existence is out there. The flower reveals itself is out there. No, that Sat and Chit is myself. But Swamiji, you say the flower is out there. And now you say that Sat and Chit is myself. Which means that as far as the Sat and Chit or Atma is concerned, there is no such thing as out there. What do you mean, Swami? There is no such thing as out there? Depends on how you look upon yourself, how you look upon in and out. Vishwam darpana dushyamanagari tulyam nijantaragatam. The first verse of Dakshinamurti Sutra says the universe, like a city seen in a mirror, Pashyan Atmani, he sees it himself. The universe that I see is in myself. You mean, Swami, in my body? In myself means what? Depends upon what it is that I call the self. Yes, if I call this body as a self, then it's all outside myself. If I call the sense organs, the mind as myself, it may be outside myself. But that is not myself. What is my essential nature? What is it about me that does not change at all? Then I'm a speaker now, I may be here later, I may be walker, talker, all keeps changing. The different roles that I take keep on changing. But the one takes the role, who takes the role does not change. And therefore, what is my nature? The one that assumes various roles, who is common to all the roles, who pervades all the roles. And therefore, if thus, what is the essential aspect of I? The body is not the essential aspect of I, because body is not there in the waking state, it is not there in the dream state, and even not there in the deep sleep state. But that which always is, which can never be negated, is this I am asti bhati priyam. So that is what I is really. Even though I say that I am confined to this body, or my being only stretches up to the boundaries of the body, in reality the I is Asti Bhati Priyam, Satchit Ananda, existence, intelligence, wholeness. It is that self that the Upanishad wants to teach us. And then there is nothing outside the self that is my true nature. There is a whole world out there, outside the body. If I confine myself to the body, then of course everything is outside the body. But I see myself as just is, I am, I shine, existence, awareness, then I am all inclusive. So what is the advantage? What do I get by knowing I am all inclusive? When all inclusive, then nothing is apart from me, nothing is opposed to me. I am not, when I include the things, then I am not opposed to anything. Nothing is opposed to me. Even in our day-to-day vyavahara also, when I include you, let's say emotionally, then we are in harmony. So I am in harmony with whoever it is that I include. And if I know my true dimension, then I include everything. Then there is harmony with everything. When there is harmony, there is peace, happiness, and that is what the potential I have of enjoying that harmony, that peace, that happiness with everything, because everything is included in me. My dimension is not confined to this body or the mind. My dimension is all inclusive. This is what the Upanishad wants to teach us. In various ways, every Upanishad has its own way of communicating. But this is what, in different ways, this Upanishad teaches us how I am different from the waking, the dream, the deep sleep. So here the three states of waking, dream, deep sleep are described. There is one entity who is the waker now. Then the same entity becomes a dreamer. How can the same entity become the dreamer? So says here, Swayam Vihaya Swayam Nirmaya. The way of describing the ninth passage is that this self, he discards his body, makes it unconscious. Swayam Nirmaya, he creates another body for himself for experiencing dream. Then I can give up this body and create a new body for myself. It is very clear that I am different from the body. And then only I can travel from one state of the body that is called waking to the other state of body or the mind that is called dream. Means that I am different from this body, mind, sense complex. I leave it here, create a new one for me, for the dream experience, leave it there, go to the chamber of deep sleep, come back. Like one person traveling in 3 cities, from Haridwar from Rishikesh to Haridwar to Delhi. When I travel from one city to the other, naturally I am different from the city. So I travel from one city called the waking, go to another city called the dream, the third city called the deep sleep, come back. That means that I am different from all the 3 cities. Puratrayam kriyati yasya jivaha. This Puratrayam, these three cities, this self moves about in these three cities, 1, 2, 3, waking, dream, deep sleep. And that way I am different from all of them. I am not confined to any of them. I am not limited to any of them. So this is a way of contemplating upon the nature of ourselves. Upanishads provide different ways. This Upanishad provides this way. Swayam vihatya, swayam nirmaya, swena bhasa, swena jyotisha prasvapeti. In dream state, where does the light come from? Swena bhasa, by his own light. Swena jyotisha prasvapeti. He is sleeping, he is dreaming. The dream world is illumined, and then as far as the dream is concerned, and they're illumined by his own light. So, this shows that even when all other luminaries are not available, in the waking state, it would be difficult to determine that I am self-effulgent, because it looks like my activities take place because of the light I receive from sun, at night from moon, from fire. Apparently, these different sources of light are there, and I am able to conduct my vyavahara in them. That is why the swapna is taken. That is why the dream is taken where none of these luminaries has an entry, and still I am able to conduct all my activities. That means there must be some other light, and that is how. That is Atrayam Swam Purusha Swam JyotirBrahmana. In dream state, this Atma is self-effulgent. He is self-effulgent even waking also. Except that in waking there are so many other luminaries that I think that I need the sun and moon and the luminaries to perform my activities. Therefore, the example of dream is given, where none of these luminaries has an entry, and still a similar vyavahara is performed. That means that light must come from a source other than the sun, the conventional sun and moon. And the only one, that source of light is myself. That is why Upanishad says, Atra means in the deep sleep, in the dream state, this Paramatma becomes self-effulgent. He is self-effulgent in the waking state also. But in the waking state there are other lights also. So it may be difficult to determine that it's only my light by which I am doing vyavahar in the waking state, because I think there are so many other lights. Therefore dream. When we know that these conventional luminaries like the sun and moon do not have entry, and still similar vyavahara is going on. Aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyate. The dream also, this person sits in his home, goes out, performs activity, returns. All these vyavahara or transaction cannot take place unless there is some light. And that is why the example of dream, that the light is the light of the self. Atrayam Purusha Swam JyotirBrahmana. Upanishad says, here this Purusha or Atma becomes self-effulgent. Meaning that the self-effulgence of the Atma becomes very clear here. Not that self becomes self-effulgent only in dream. Self-effulgence is the nature. As waking, dream, deep sleep, always self-effulgent. But since in waking there are other sources of light, therefore it may be difficult for us to perhaps recognize that only light is myself. Therefore, when other lights are closed, as in dream, and still there is light, still the vyavahara is going on, dream world also shines, all activities go on. So what is the source of that light? That is the self. So in this way, Upanishad wants to convey how Atma or the self is self-effulgent of the nature of consciousness. When someone or something is self-effulgent, self-shining, that also means it is self-existing. That also means it is self-sufficient. What is Sat? Is Chit. What is Chit? Is Ananda. Then question is asked, no, Swapnepi, Sarvasya. But in dream also we find sun and moon, everybody shining there. In dream also. You say that in the dream, no luminary has entry, but in the dream also we find the sun and the moon. How do you say that only Atma is shining? See, we were given the example of dream to help us understand only self is the luminary. But here the question is, in the dream also we find the sun, dream sun, and moon, and other luminaries. So how do you say that it is only Atma that is shining and not other entities shining there? Tasya sarvasya vasana matratvad. Hey, that sun in the dream is not the real sun. That sun is created from my mind, by my mind, from the impressions that I have gathered from the waking state. In the waking state, every day I experience the sun. And therefore, those impressions are there in my mind about the sun. In the waking state, in the night, I experience moon. Therefore, the impressions of the moon are in my mind. When sun and moon are not there in waking state, I experience fire. Thus, I have been experiencing these luminaries in the waking state, during the day, during the night, etc. Therefore, the impressions of all these luminaries, the sun, the moon, the fire, are very much there in my mind. Thus, in the dream then, with the help of those impressions, I create. So what is dream? Dream is nothing but projection of the mind. And what determines the nature of projection? The impressions that you have, from your experiences and waking. Since everyone has a different experience, therefore everyone's dream is different. But the basic setup is the same. In a dream, if you experience the world, it will be similar. Same setup will be there. Meaning same sun and moon and earth and same setup will be there. You may have your own unique kind of setup and I may have my own unique, but the same basic elements are the same. So we go to the dream world with these impressions and therefore the mind creates a world of which it has gathered impressions from the waking state. So the dream world of all of us will have essentially same elements. There will be sun and the moon and the fire and so forth and so on, earth and fire. Your dream world may have, since there are emotional things also, therefore it may have different emotional elements. Different people, the details may be different, but the setup is similar. Now a question is asked, that in a dream also there are luminaries such as sun, moon, etc. So how do you say that Atma is the only luminary in dream? You gave us the example of dream to establish that Atrayam Purushaha Swam JyotirBrahmana. Here in dream, this Atma is self-effulgent because there is no other luminary. But in dream also we find the sun and the moon. Then how do you say that Atma, the self, is only luminary in dream? tasya sarvasya vasana matratva, and says that sun and moon or any of the luminaries that you see in a dream are merely a product of your own mind. There is no real sun, no real moon, no luminary there, but the mind creates them. But Swami, how can the mind seems to create similar sun and moon? Because the mind has the impressions of this sun and moon, etc. in the waking state. Those impressions it carries, and from that it projects the dream world. Therefore, in the dream also we see sun, moon, fire, which are the products of the impressions that I have gathered and have carried with me in the deep state. So you know the mechanism of dream. Then in the waking state we experience the waking world. And whatever experience we have, every experience leaves an impression. Therefore, with the experiences of the waking state, which we have gathered, we go to a dream and we use those impressions to create the dream world. Therefore, there are going to be same earth and same Ganga and same skies, similar. So this is what I experience during the day. Therefore, if I dream, it's likely that similar setup will be there. So, question is, but Swami, I seem to see the same Ganges there, same sky there, same Rishikesh there. How do you say that it's not there? They are all the projections of your mind. And projection requires samskara, impression, which we have been gathered, stored in the mind, and the mind projects that. So, the dream world is a projection of the mind based on the samskaras or the impressions that the mind has gathered during the experiences of waking state. Therefore, describing the dream state, the 10th passage says, those of you who have been studying Bhashyas in some time are likely to recognize these passages or part of the passages because Bhashyakara often quotes part of the passage or part of the statement from other sources, and Brihadaranyaka is a very common source for Bhashyakara because it's Aranyaka, Brihadaranyaka. It discusses so many topics that you will find some material for almost any topic. Reason why Bhashyakara would quote from something is just to help us understand that what he is saying is authentic. That what I am saying is not coming from my imagination. This is what the Upanishad also says. That's what the scripture text also says. So now the 10th passage says, Na tatra rasaha, na rasayogaha, na panthano bhavanti, atha rathan rasayogan pasaha srijate, na tatra anandaha mudaha pramudaha bhavanti, atha anandan mudaha pramudaha srijate, na tatra veshantaha pushkarinyah sravantyah bhavanti, atha veshantan pushkarinyah sravantyah srijate sahi karta. This is the description of the dream world, where we experience similar things. So there also you may be having a ride in a chariot. Those days, car, chariot ride, there are very wide roads, and along you find some forests and some rivers and ponds and lakes as you take the ride in the chariot. So typical chariot ride, like these days, your typical car ride, and you may see similar things. You see a river here, then you see a pond there, you see a lake there. Similarly here also, this person takes a chariot ride and he sees the rivers, he sees lakes, he sees ponds, and he enjoys that. He enjoys the beauty of the nature, and so there is pleasure, happiness, enjoyment of different degrees. You feel happy seeing something, feel more happy seeing something else, and look at that flower, you are ecstatic. So there are different degrees of happiness that we experience. In the dream also we experience similar happiness. Sometimes happy, then more happy, extremely happy. So it looks like the dream experiences are not substantially different from the experience of the waking state. But then Upanishad wants to say that all of that is the creation of the mind, that there are no real entities there. Tatra swapne, na tatra, there means in the dream, na rathaha, there are no chariots, na rathayogaha, no horses, the panthanaha, no paths, asa rathan, rathayogan, patah, srijati. In the dream I experience a chariot and the path of the chariot and the rivers and lakes and here it says none of that is there, then where does it come from? This person who is dreaming himself creates the chariot and the paths and the rivers and the lakes. Tatra anandaha mudaha pramudaha bhavanti. Here ananda means general happiness. Anandaha sukha samanyani, general happiness that you get. Mudaha, so 3 degrees of happiness. Moda, priya moda, pramoda. Here in a different way the 3 degrees of ananda, muda and pramuda. This is what is said here. Ananda is equivalent to our priya. Muda is modaha and pramuda is pramoda. So priya, moda, pramoda. Priya, the happiness that you get when you hear about something, think of something that you like. I always give this example when we were children. Recently a festival was there, Holi, when they light the fire. On that day, on that festival day, mother would invariably make laddus. They were the best sweets. We didn't have all this fancy stuff, so. And that you don't get them every day, get them once in a month or a few times a year. So when the laddus are going to be made, then she won't give us before, only after puja is done in the evening. You won't get it during the day. You've seen them being made and stored. So whole day you keep on thinking of laddu in the evening. To me, it did not matter what was the festival and what was the other significance of this. To me, the only thing that matters is in the evening we'll get laddu. So whole day I think of laddu. And you get a certain pleasure just of thinking of something that you love. This is called priya, first degree of happiness. Then evening comes, You don't get to write your puja is done, all procedure. You are just waiting, and finally it comes in your plate. Your happiness multiplies. And finally, you take that piece of laddu, put it in your mouth, and you are in heaven. That's a Brahmananda. So these are the three degrees of happiness. First is Priya, second is Moda, third is Pramoda. Here it is Ananda, Muda and Pramuda. Mud, Pramud, Mudaha, Pramudaha, they are plural. This is how the 3 degrees of happiness are described. What is Atmanyeva? Yes, Atmaratihi, Atmakridaha. But in Bhagavad Gita, what is our verse there? Yastvatmareva syat atmatruptasya manavah atmanyevacha santushtaha. Atmarati, Atmatrupti, Atmasantosh, Rati, Santushti and Trupti. 3 levels. Trupti is total contentment, total happiness. So there is this whole Trupti Deepa Prakaranam in the Panchadashi, 7th chapter. It describes the Trupti or the total contentment that a wise person experiences. Some 300 verses are there to describe that. So all of these anandas you experience in a dream state, but they are not there. Then where do they come from? You create them. Na tatra veshantaha pushkaranyah sravantyah bhavanti. There you don't have the veshantaha or the pools, pushkaranyah, the tanks, sravantyah, the rivers. So when you are riding a chariot, you have, you see various things. You now see a little lake, and you see a pond, and you see a river, and different reservoirs of water. Enjoy them. But they are not there. So what all you experience in dream is not really there. That is a description of dream that they can give. Today, if you want to describe dream in United States, it may be something else. But in those days, this is, that's the kind of world that they had, and but there are no lakes there, there are no ponds there, there are no rivers there. And he creates the lakes and ponds and rivers. He says, Sahi Karta. The dreamer is the creator of the dream world. What you experience in the dream is not really there. You create it for yourself and experience it. How nice, Swami, you become God that time. You create your own world, the dream world, and you experience it. But then, Swamiji, I would always create things that I enjoy. How come in dream also sometimes I feel, pain, sadness? Why? How come I find myself creating unhappiness or sadness in dream? If I have to create, would I not create only the things that please me? In the dream also, we sometimes cry, and various things happen, similar to the waking state. Even though I am the creator of my dream world, that creation is based on the various impressions I have gathered during the waking state. So in waking state also I was crying at some time, that impression is there. I was angry at that time, that impression is there. Happy at third time, that impression is there. Therefore in the dream also, I create similar experience. In a way, I am the creator, but I am not God. Some people say you are God of your dream wonders. I am not. Because I don't have freedom to create something which is outside the impressions I am carrying. If I was God, I would never create a painful dream, would I? But I find myself creating a world of dream in which again I experience pain because I'm not God really speaking in that sense. I don't have the freedom to create what I want. The creation takes place based on the vasanas or the impressions that are stored in my mind. Otherwise, who would not want to create a pleasant dream? And who would want to even come back to waking state? If in the dream you could create what you want and enjoy that, I would not want to wake up. So Sahi Karta, although he says, the text says that you are the creator of the dream, and sometimes there was, you are God of dream, but I am not free to create what I want. I am the creator, all right, like an architect. Who's creator? He creates based on the instructions given by the client. Architect is creator, but doesn't have freedom to create what he wants. He creates based on what it is that his client wants. So in the dream I am the creator. I do not have freedom to create what I want. The creation takes place based on the impressions that I am carrying from the waking state. Therefore, thank God that this is a nice creation that is described in this verse. But elsewhere, like in Chandogya Upanishad, that he finds himself crying, he finds that somebody is attacking him, he finds that an elephant after him, So Chandogya Upanishad describes dream in this way also, because that's what he experienced during the waking state. In Anagati, there used to be elephants, in the olden days at night. And if you did not know how to relate to the elephant and you are in the wrong way, he will chase you. People have been chased, and then you become very nervous, and then you don't know, you collide against something, fall in something, hurt yourself. So if that is impression, then in dream also same thing will happen. An elephant will chase you. You are nervous and you don't know where to go, running around, falling down, getting up again, falling down. Depends upon the karma. So ultimately, the dream experience also is the result of some karma of our past. Well, that is not the intention here. The intention is that the dream world is created based on the samskaras or impressions he is carrying with him from the waking state. And really, here the Tika says that he creates only as a sakshi, meaning in this he is a witness, and all the creation takes place. It's the mind that creates, and Atma is the very witness of the creation that takes place. So Atma is not creator really. Atma is just the witness in whose presence the mind and other entities create. Proceeding further, same page I think, you don't have to change the page, the passage 11. Tadete shloka bhavanti swapnena shariram abhiprahritya asuptas supta vichakashiri Shukramadaya punaraiti sthanam Hiranmaya purusha eka hamsaha. See the translation, Tadete shloka bhavanti. Regarding this, there are these following verses. Number of verses are quoted. Upanishad also quotes verses. Because this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is a Brahmana Upanishad. In Upanishad also there are categories. Brahmana Upanishad, Samhita Upanishad, Mantra Upanishad. So Ishavasya Upanishad enjoys the distinction of a Samhita Upanishad, is a part of Samhita. Kathopanishad, Mundakopanishad, Kiropanishad, Mantropanishad, based on mantra, and Prashnopanishad, Aitareyopanishad, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, they are called Brahmana Upanishad. What is the Brahmana? Brahmana is said to be the exposition of mantra. So in Vedas we have these four sections: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishad. First section is Samhita, which is a collection of various mantras. Second is Brahmana. Brahmana means an exposition of mantras. Aranyaka is what is done in Aranya, and then Upanishads. So this is a Brahmana Upanishad. And so generally it's in prose, like Chandogya is in prose, and Aitareya Upanishad is in prose, and Brihadaranyaka in prose. Mantra Upanishads are usually in poetry form, like Kathopanishad, like Mundaka Upanishad, etc. In Upanishads also, a Mantra Upanishad is considered to be more authentic than a Brahmana Upanishad. A Brahmana Upanishad often is looked upon as an explanation of Mantra Upanishad. Brahmana is an explanation of mantra. So, Brihadaranyaka, even though it is the most important Upanishad, still it is Brahmana Upanishad. So from time to time, in order to validate what it says, it quotes mantra. If you remember in Taittiriya Upanishad also, if you have heard Taittiriya Upanishad, is also a Brahmana Upanishad. And there also, from time to time, they quote mantras. So here also, Tadete shlokaha bhavanti. There are these shlokas or mantras to validate what we said earlier. Swapnena shariram abhi prahatya hiranmayaha purushaha ekahamsaha. Hiranmayaha, the radiant, Purushaha, the infinite being, Ekahamsa, the one who moves alone. I'm reading the translation. Hiranmayaha Purushaha Ekahamsa. Hiranmaya, Hiranya means gold, Hiranmaya, radiant. Purusha, the infinite being. Purusha is person, but Purusha means the one who is complete, all pervading. So Hiranmaya Purusha, the radiant infinite being, Ekahamsa. Here Han means to go. Eka, the one who goes alone. Hamsa means one who is going. Ekahamsa, one always goes alone. So Atma is described as Purusha, Hiranmaya, the radiant being, infinite being, Purusha, Ekahamsa, who moves alone. That is Atma. Now what does he do? Says, Swapnena shariram abhiprahritya. He puts the body, Swapnena, in the dream state, shariram abhiprahritya, he sets aside the body. The dream. What we discuss alone is being stated here to validate what the Upanishad said. These mantras are quoted to validate, meaning that we find the same description here. You think this is repeating, but not repeating, validating what it is said with quotation of the authentic verses called mantras or shlokas. Swapnena shariram abhiprahritya asuptaha suptan abhichakashiti. Himself asupta, awake. Suptan abhichakashiti. And then in the dream state, himself awake, he watches those that are asleep. So in the dream, the self is awake because it cannot go to sleep. Consciousness cannot set. The sun cannot set. Sun has no luxury of sleeping because it is radiant. It is self-shining. Similarly, Atma is consciousness, always shining, always awake, and therefore Atma does not have the luxury of going to sleep. It's just to say, doesn't need to sleep anyway, but then think, self-shining is the nature of the Atma, and therefore himself is awake. Awake means what? Shining. So in the dream state, the Atma himself is awake. He's shining and illuminating everything else. This body, the waking body, has to be put aside because you cannot take that in the dream world. Dream world is a different kind of realm. To experience the dream objects, you require the body compatible to dream objects. That's the reason why the self is to create a body suitable for dream. For creating that body compatible to dream, he must put this body aside. Not only he should put this body aside, but make this body unconscious. Because if this fellow is also doing something, then there are two bodies. So this body is made unconscious. A new body suitable for dream is created. And with that, the Vyavahara is performed in the dream. So there Atma shines alone and illumines everything in the dream world. So he is watching all the dream entities, all the dream activities. Himself is awake. Atma is self-shining. And what happens is, in the dream, the sense organs are all put to sleep. What is the dream state? I am not conscious of this body, not conscious of my organs of perception, organs of action. The organs of perception that we have in dream are different from the organs of perception in waking state. In the dream also I have eyes, I have the body, but different from this body. In the dream also I have eyes and ears and all the organs of perception, but not these ones, new ones. Organs of action, this is speech, hands, legs, created for purpose of dream. This body would not be competent to experience the dream world, therefore a new body compatible to the experiencing dream world is created. New body is created, new sense organs are created, new organs of action are created, all suitable for the dream experience. That time he pushed this one aside. This body is made, it doesn't die, it becomes unconscious. Set aside. It is a new one. Then with that he experiences. So this would, just for a way, it's interesting to know what this dream state is and how it works. So that mechanism is explained here in detail. So that time, these organs of perception are not there, these organs of action are not there. He creates new organs of perception, new eyes and ears, etc., new body and the new organs of action. So these fellows are sleeping and he creates a new one for functioning in a dream. So having experienced the dream, then again he comes to the waking. So thus he passes from waking to dream and back to the waking. This is what goes on day in and day out. We will continue our discussion next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.